The Don't Fund It campaign is still underway and not getting a whole lot of help from GOP colleagues. The GOP actually is doing a fantastic job hammering home the Democratic agenda for President Obama. Still insisting that the government will be shut down if there is no funding for Obamacare in the budget. That is just simply not true. Senators Mike Lee and Ted Cruz simply want the line items for any line items for funding of Obamacare removed from any budget. It is President Obama who will not sign a budget that does not include any funding for his precious Obamacare. He is the one who will shut down the government over that. So, our little toddler in chief is stomping his foot saying, no, 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 no. It is not Mike Lee or Ted Cruz. So that is a very important point to make. And point is not being made by any other Republican. They keep on insisting, the rest of them keep on insisting that shutting down the government is not the way to go. Yeah, derp, we know that. So they just keep on singing the Democrat talking points. So that's very, very disappointing, and it's getting very, very nauseating. Another point that I'd like to make here is a question I sort of went ting with here is during the whole writing of the bill and his tour of it or whatever, and how that ever got passed, I don't know, is I never read anything what doctors had to say about that. That was interesting. There wasn't any insurance companies involved there, or I'm not sure who was involved with, writing that bill. But no doctors I never heard anything about any doctors. And I know from firsthand experience and with what I do, how hard it is to get doctors to speak on the record. But, the AMA can sure find somebody to speak on the record for you. So, and I'm just now looking back wondering how I think they were silenced. I don't think that the media asked the question. And it is their, obligation, anyone writing a story about Obamacare, it's their job to, well, if you can't find one to talk to you, it's your job to report that. And ask yourself that question. And the next time you go to the doctor, ask your doctor what they think of Obamacare. I think you got a 90% chance of them telling you at great length how much they hate it. I know all of my doctors hate it. And it has a lot to do with patient care. And circling around here back to patient care, I would like to call to your attention, if you don't already know, on Twitter, New Jersey Ivory Girl is tweeting Obamacare. She is tweeting that entire bill all by herself at this point. She took the project over from Jake McLean, and she's tweeting the whole bill on an iPad. And let's let that sink in for a minute. That's one step to the right of tweeting that on a smartphone. That's not easy. She's tweeting that whole bill. So she knows that bill better than anybody. I'm sure anybody who wrote it doesn't even know it that well. And that bill is a horror. It's a horror. The power that the secretary has in her hands there, the Health and Human Service Secretary has in her hands there, what it goes into, the direct connections to the IRS in that bill, it's just staggering. It is just absolutely staggering. And I encourage you to follow her. Her Twitter handle is NJ Ivory Girl on Twitter. And I encourage you to, if you're not already, follow Ted Cruz and Mike Lee on there and get involved and do whatever you can to stop this train wreck from being fully implemented, because unless you live in Utah or Texas, you're not going to get any help from your senator or your congressman. I'm completely on my own. I live in Arizona, and we've, complete zombie nation here now because we have McCain and Flake and Kristen Sinema, so we're completely screwed here. So, but please, New Jersey NJ Ivory Girl, Senator Mike Lee, Senator Ted Cruz, and do what you can to get this to stop. So that's obviously what's been pissing me off last week, this week, and probably for the next several weeks. So thank you very much for listening to all this, and you have a great week. All right, take care.